Hello and welcome to another edition of the SHU Sports Report. I'm Chris Cayozzo.
And I'm Alex Padalino. Chris, we had a ton of Sacred Heart sports action over the weekend. Why don't you get us started off with Sacred Heart field hockey?
That's right, Alex. The field hockey team had a great game on Sunday when they traveled to Providence, Rhode Island to face off against the Brown University Bears. The Pioneers looked to turn their weekend around after falling to Monmouth in their MAC conference opener, even though Sacred Heart was outshot throughout the game, but managed to put 2 goals on the board late in the first half. Both goals came exactly 4 minutes apart, allowing them to claim their second shutout of the season to go along with the shutout victory against Lehigh earlier this season. Freshman goalie Haley Powers played all 70 minutes in goal, making 5 saves and getting her first collegiate solo shutout. Her performance last week garnered her the MAC Rookie of the Week award. Sophomore Kelsey Hopkins and senior Lauren Lawson both scored their 3rd goals of the season, while sophomore Colleen McCainley and junior Rebecca Hauser both recorded their first assists of the season. With this 2-0 victory, the Sacred Heart field hockey team improves their record to 4-7 on the season. SHU returns to action this Friday, October 6th, when they host MAC foe Siena College for a 6 p.m. game at Johnson Field.
And you know, Chris, it's always a great week when Sacred Heart gets back to their winning ways. Let's just hope they can keep that up.
That's right, Alex. And for more on Sacred Heart field hockey, we have our very own Allison Gaskins with field hockey's head coach. Allison?
Thanks, guys. I'm here with field hockey head coach Sydney Vandermovie. Coach, thanks for coming down to our studios today.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Let's just jump right into things. You had 5 seniors graduate last year. How have your underclassmen really stepped up into the leadership roles?
We lucky last year we had excuse me, the underclassmen really showed up last year, really. So it wasn't a big transition when the seniors left. We have a very good senior group this year, obviously sophomores and juniors and freshmen. We have a good core group of players all around. We're lucky to have Haley Power in goals. You know, she's really stepped up as a freshman. She was a walk-on, which is great. So she's really come with the team and really done superbly.
And Haley Powers, with her stepping up in the goal, she just recorded her first career solo shutout against Brown this past weekend. That also named her to the MAC Rookie of the Week, got her that title. So how has she and her play in the goal really been able to give some energy into your defense?
Well, you know, she did really well against Monmouth University. They had, she had like 19 saves or 20 shots or something like that. It's really given her a lot of confidence. It's given the defense a lot of confidence as well, knowing that if they get past defense, she's behind them in the goals to stop the ball from going in. So it's given this not the defense, it's given the midfield, the forwards, it's given everyone, the whole team, a really good positive step forward to that.
And that confidence is something that you're going to have to instill into your remaining 5 conference games, starting this weekend at home as you host Siena. What is the preparation like as you push to enter the MAC tournament?
We've really had one game against Monmouth, and that was a really tough. Monmouth's a great school. It was a tough game. It was a tough loss. But you know, the games going forward, there were some teams that really lost that we didn't expect to lose. So it's an open conference still to go forward. And you know, for Siena, we just take it by game by game. You know, we're obviously preparing for Siena this week. How they outlet, how they press, and all things like that. So we're just working hard towards the game on Friday night, and then we'll go from there.
Well, Coach, that's all the time we actually have for today for our Coach's Corner. But thank you so much for coming down to our studios.
Thank you.
And guys, that's going to wrap it up for this Coach's Corner. But more Sacred Heart action. We have Anthony Saccone standing by with this week's Update Corner. Anthony?
And thank you, Allison. Let's kick off this week's Update Corner with women's soccer. The Pioneers look to bounce back after losing their conference opener to St. Francis University. The Pios traveled to Pennsylvania on Sunday to square off against the Colonials of Robert Morris University. The Pioneers would score the lone goal of the game when junior captain Alex Mesropian headed a well-placed corner kick from junior Alyssa Highland. Sacred Heart defeated the Colonials on the road by a final score of 1-0, and this gave the Pioneers their first conference win of the season and improved their record to 4-8 overall. It was a stellar performance by the defense as they limited Robert Morris to just 5 shots on goal, in which junior goaltender Nicole Sambuco was able to stop every one of them. Sacred Heart hosts Mount St. Mary's here at Park Avenue Field this Friday, October 6th at 3 p.m. Elsewhere, the Sacred Heart women's rowing team started off their 2017 fall slate very strong as they competed at Head of the Riverfront this past weekend. And it was a great weekend for the Pioneers as the Novice 8 boat, made up of freshmen Kelly Mathewson and Katie Graham, along with returning members such as Emma Costello, Denise Rodriguez, and Christina Hardman, crossed the finish line at 18 minutes and 30 seconds, good enough for first place, as they crossed the finish line a minute and 45 seconds ahead of the second place finisher. Next up for Sacred Heart Rowing will be Saturday, October 7th at Head of the Housatonic, where they look to build off this week's excellent victory. Another SHU team that had a great weekend was the Sacred Heart women's golf team, as they competed at the Hartford Hawks Invitational this past weekend. The Pios finished third overall as junior Chelsea Sedler played some of her best golf. She finished the day at 73, and that was good enough to take home an individual title. Her teammate and senior Esty the Champs shot a 77 in both rounds as she finished tied for 7th place at plus 10. And fellow classmate Abigail Hood, she finished at 78 at 19 over par and was good enough to take home 22nd overall. Next week, we will go over the results from the CCSU one-day tournament that happened yesterday, but you guys can go to the sacredheartpioneers.com for the updated results. For a special men's ice hockey season preview, we had Sean Hamilton sit with head coach CJ Maratolo.
I'm here today with Sacred Heart's men's ice hockey head coach, CJ Maratolo. Coach, you graduated a stellar senior class this past May. What has the transition been like bringing in a young group of 9 freshmen to the roster this fall?
Yeah, it's been refreshing. Anytime you bring in a lot of new guys, there's change. And we put in a lot of new systems in all zones, and our guys have really taken to it. And our leadership group has been tremendous in welcoming all these young guys to our team, a lot of team bonding stuff off the ice, and creating the culture that we want to have with our group moving forward. So it's an exciting time, and they're all great kids, and they're all working really hard right now.
Junior captain Liam Clare is SHU's top return point scorer. What are your expectations for him and the other veterans this season?
Yeah, Liam is a young man that we expect to lead our team in all facets of our game. He's a guy that logs a lot of ice time. He's a young man that we count on to produce offense from the blue line. He's a player that we count on to be on the ice to shut down the other team's top player. But with that responsibility, there are other young men in his class that we'll look to as well. Mike Crocock's another one who's an who is a captain as well, that he'll share some of that responsibility as well. So he's someone that he'll help rally our team in all situations. He sacrifices a lot for this team on the ice. He leads our team in block shots. We'll go as far as Liam takes us this year.
The season opened up this Friday with a 2-game series against Northeastern. The team went 2-1 and won against the Hockey East last season. What are you looking for out of the team against quality non-conference opponents to help you prepare for the Atlantic hockey play?
Yeah, there's no question Northeastern will present a great challenge for us this Friday and Saturday night. Worth going into these games with. We're thinking about the process. We're not worrying about whether we're winning or losing right now. We're trying to come together as a team, keep getting better, keep building every day at practice, keep building after every game until we get into, when our Atlantic hockey slate starts, against Niagara at the end of October. I'm not saying we're not going in to try to win these games, because we're going in to try to win every game we play, but there's going to be a process that we're going through, and we're just going to build every day, and we have a great test starting on Friday night.
Finally, what are the goals the team has set for this season?
Our goals are pretty simple. We're not looking too far out. We've broken our season down into segments. In the first segment will be our first 6 non-league games, and then we break it down for the next 6 games and the next 6 games, so on. So we have 8 segments, 6 for the regular season, 1 for the playoffs, and 1 for the NCAA tournament, which gives us a broad picture of where we want to get to, but it also breaks this season down into small segments. So right now, we're just working on getting better every day, working on team chemistry right now, and learning our systems right now, and learning really about each other right now, as not only as hockey players, but as people off the ice, as well. What makes certain guys tick. So it's a fun time right now with our group.
Thanks, Coach, for your time, and best of luck this season.
Thank you very much.
For the SHU Sports Report, I'm Sean Hamilton.
And that is all we have for this week's Update Corner. I'm Anthony Saccone. Back to you at the desk.
Thanks, Anthony. With the weather finally feeling like fall has officially arrived, we certainly had some football weather this past weekend.
That's right, Chris. Over the weekend, Sacred Heart football had their homecoming game on Saturday, and it was a chilly one. Not only was it football's homecoming game, but also some alumni and Sacred Heart teams were honored throughout the game. Sacred Heart women's track and field team was honored and given their championship rings throughout the game, as well as Sacred Heart alumni being recognized at halftime. The game itself got off to a cold start, with Sacred Heart being down 16-3 going into halftime. Sacred Heart did manage to get some more points on the board after senior quarterback Kevin Duke ran and threw for a touchdown in the second half. Senior Byron Barney was the recipient of the passing touchdown, leading all players with a career-high 7 receptions to go with 125 yards. Duke won a second straight week, setting a career high in passing yards with 250 on the night. On defense, both fifth-year Kevin Berry and senior CJ Parvalis had a team high in tackles with 11. The Pioneers look to bounce back as they host Dartmouth here at Campus Field Saturday, October 14th at 1 p.m.
Hopefully football can turn around as they hit the halfway point in their season this weekend against Dartmouth. That's all the SHU sports action we have for you this week. Make sure to follow SacredHeartPioneers.com for all the games coming up this weekend. And of course, tune in next week for another edition of the SHU Sports Report to catch up on all things Sacred Heart. For all of us here, I'm Chris Cayozzo.
And I'm Alex Padalino. Thanks for watching.